PHP has a core class named datetime. This will help you in reading, writing, comparing dates, or making datetime-related calculations. There are many date and time-related functions in PHP besides the datetime class, but this provides a nice object-oriented interface to most of the common uses. So let's start off by opening index.php. On line 3, we're going to create a new datetime object and store it in the date variable. In this case, we'll be creating our object by passing a string into the class constructor. This string will contain a date, which can be in one of a bunch of different formats. We'll look at some of those formats shortly, but for now, this example has an input format of year, August 23. On line 7, we are outputting a paragraph with the text, the output date is, then using the format method on our datetime object to output the date in our own specific format. Our example here uses M/D/Y as an output format, meaning when we run this script, we should expect to see 08/23/2014. Let's take a look in preview mode by clicking on the eye icon. Cool, that worked. Here we have the output date is 08/23/2014, just like we expected. The benefit here is that we can change the input date string and have the same output format. One alternative commonly used input format is the SQL date string. Let's go back to the workspace, back to index.php, and let's enter a new date in a new format. So I'm going to keep the year 2014, I'm going to change things around a little bit, and enter 09/12, which is the 12th of September. Let's save that out, and refresh. Great, we have the exact same date format, but it has a different date. If we hop back to the workspace, we can get a little bit more adventurous with initializing datetime objects using string offsets. We can change the constructor to take a string starting with a plus or a minus. Then we add a number of units and define the unit with the words second, hours, days, weeks, months, or even years. So if we enter +2 weeks and have a little look, see what happens there, then we will have an output which is 2 weeks from now. Brilliant. You can jump forwards using more human-friendly phrases too. We can change this string to contain phrases like next week or tomorrow. So let's have a go at that. Next week. Perfect. Tomorrow. There we go. As I mentioned earlier, the string argument passed to the datetime constructor on line 3 can accept dates in many different input formats. To learn more about the datetime formats, we can use the PHP manual. There is a link in the notes for this video called PHP Date Formats, so let's head over there. If you scroll about halfway down, you can see under localized notations, there's a whole bunch of different formats supported, some American ones, some more generic. The format here, this is a literal string, so that means it's actually a slash and not some special meaning. And then you can see some actual examples of how they look. So when you use them, they'll come out without the quotation marks around them. And there's some other fairly common formats here. This one, like the 4-digit year, month, and day with slashes, could be one that you might want to use. Sometimes you'll need to work with dates that are stored in unsupported formats. For example, if a string contains 2 date segments with numeric values below 13, they could both be days or months. Luckily, the datetime class has a method called createFromFormat. We can provide our custom input format to this method along with our date so that PHP can read the string correctly. If we go back to our workspace, paste this code in. On line 3 here, we have a string containing an unsupported date format. We store it in the raw variable and pass it to the createFromFormat method. If all goes well when we run this, once again, we should see our date output in the same format. This time, the date should be 11/10/1968. Let's save that and see if it works. Perfect, let's move on.